The water takes him under before the scream leaves his throat. Cold slams into his lungs. The current drags him sideways, then down, then somewhere that has no direction at all. His arms flail, hands grasping at nothing but darkness and rushing sound. The river doesn't care that his belly is swollen, that something fragile lives inside him, that he already made too many mistakes to survive one more. His fingers scrape stone, moss slicks under his palm, he loses his grip. Something was supposed to happen tonight, something that would fix everything or end it. He can't remember which anymore. The rain had been falling for hours before he arrived at the edge, before his shoes slipped on wet rock, before gravity decided for him. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. The world above the surface blurs into streaks of silver and black. His chest burns. His legs kick slower. The thing he's been protecting with oversized jackets and careful angles presses against his ribs from the inside, reminding him that disappearing means 2 lives lost, not 1. He doesn't want to die. But wanting hasn't mattered in months. The current spins him again. His knee cracks against something hard. Pain explodes white behind his eyes. He opens his mouth and water rushes in, bitter and endless. His body convulses. His thoughts scatter into fragments, a broken phone, a torn sleeve, voices laughing while he bled, the moment he realized no one was coming to stop it. Then a hand cuts through the chaos. Fingers close around his wrist. The grip is iron, unshakable, violent in its certainty. He's yanked upward so fast his shoulder screams. Air hits his face. He gasps, chokes, gasps again. His vision swims with rain and river water and the shape of someone above him, pulling him toward the bank with movements that feel like rage contained. Mud scrapes his side. Stones dig into his back. He coughs until his throat tears, until brown water spills from his lips and nose. His whole body shakes. Cold sinks into his bones. A shadow moves over him, tall, broad-shouldered, breathing hard but controlled. He tries to sit up. His arms won't cooperate. His soaked shirt clings to his stomach, and the curve he spent weeks hiding is now impossible to miss. Moonlight catches the swell of his belly through wet fabric. Shame floods him, hotter than the cold. He looks up at the man standing over him. Rain slides down a jaw carved from stone, eyes dark and unreadable, a coat that costs more than 3 months of rent. The man doesn't move closer, doesn't speak, just watches him with the stillness of someone deciding whether to stay or let the night swallow what it nearly claimed. His voice comes out broken, desperate, barely louder than the rain. Will you stay if I undress? The question hangs in the air between them, wrong and raw, and the only truth he has left. He used to know how things worked. Morning came, he showered. He dressed in clothes that made him invisible. He walked 16 blocks to the office because the subway cost too much. He filed documents. He answered emails. He smiled when required. He went home. He locked 3 separate locks. He ate whatever required the least effort. He slept 4 hours, he repeated. Survival had a rhythm, predictable, sustainable, functional enough that no one looked too closely. The Omega, his name is Kiren, though no one's asked in weeks, had learned to exist in the margins. Male Omegas already lived under scrutiny, their bodies treated as anomalies, their autonomy negotiable. Add poverty to the equation and invisibility became a skill. He perfected it, kept his head down, kept his sense suppressed, kept his life small enough to control. The job at the firm in Manhattan paid barely enough. The apartment in New Jersey cost too much, but the numbers balanced if he didn't eat out, didn't get sick, didn't make mistakes. Then he made one. It started small, an invoice that didn't match, a shell company routing funds between New York and Connecticut with paperwork that looked clean but felt wrong. Kiren flagged it. His supervisor told him to file it anyway. Kiren hesitated. His supervisor insisted. Kiren refused. 3 days later, he was pulled into a conference room. No HR present, just a man named Marek Calder wearing a suit that whispered wealth and a smile that promised consequences. Marek didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He explained calmly that cooperation was expected, that Kiren's position was temporary, that Omegas without connections had limited options. Kiren said no again. Marek's smile thinned. He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. You'll reconsider. Kiren didn't. The retaliation came in pieces. A missed paycheck, a landlord suddenly demanding 3 months rent up front, a phone call to his apartment at 2 a.m. with nothing but breathing on the other end. Then the invitation to the charity gala, mandatory attendance, Marek said, a chance to correct his mistake publicly. Kiren went because refusing meant losing the job entirely. He wore his only decent shirt. He stayed near the edges of the room. He tried to leave early. Mek found him by the coat check. What happened next was efficient. Mek grabbed his wrist, twisted. The Chanel cuff his mother left him snapped. His phone hit the marble floor and shattered. Mek's voice carried across the room, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "You're pregnant, aren't you?" The room went silent. Kiren's hand went to his stomach instinctively. The oversized blazer he'd been using to hide the swell suddenly felt transparent. Eyes turned. Whispers started. Someone laughed. Mek smiled. "How irresponsible," Mek said, still gripping his wrist, "putting everyone at risk like this." Kiren pulled free, ran, got outside, kept running. He ran until his lungs burned, until his legs ached, until he reached the river. And no one had a backup. The pregnancy is 26 weeks along. Kiren knows this because he's counted every day since the test showed 2 lines. 26 weeks means the pup inside him has eyelashes now, fingernails, a heartbeat strong enough to feel against his ribs when he lies still at night. 26 weeks means he's past the point where hiding works. The curve of his belly strains against every shirt he owns. His gait has changed. His scent has shifted. His body broadcasts what his life can't support. He sits in a free clinic in Newark, waiting for his name to be called. The room smells like disinfectant and desperation. A television in the corner plays news no one watches. The plastic chair digs into his lower back. He shifts. The baby kicks. He presses his palm against the movement, a silent promise he's not sure he can keep. The nurse calls his name. He stands. His knees protest. Everything protests now. The exam room is small and cold. The doctor is kind but rushed. She measures his belly, listens to the heartbeat, asks questions he answers in fragments. "Do you have support at home?" "No." "Are you taking prenatal vitamins? When I can afford them?" "Do you feel safe?" He doesn't answer that one. The doctor's pen pauses over her notes. She looks at him, really looks, and he knows she sees it all. The exhaustion, the fear, the bruise on his wrist from Mek's grip 3 days ago. "You need to reduce stress," she says gently. "Your blood pressure is elevated, if it gets worse." "I know," Kiren interrupts. He's read every free article online. He knows what preeclampsia means. He knows what can happen if his body decides the pregnancy is too much. She writes him a prescription he can't afford, tells him to come back in 2 weeks, hands him a pamphlet about Omega prenatal resources that lists services he's already been denied. He leaves the clinic. It's raining again. He doesn't have an umbrella. The bus is late. He stands at the stop, water soaking through his jacket, hand pressed to his belly like a shield. A black car slows at the curb. Tinted windows, New York plates. The back window lowers just enough for him to see Mek's face. "Get in," Mek says, not a request. Kiren steps back. The car door opens. A man in a grey suit steps out. Expensive shoes, expressionless face. He moves toward Kiren with the casual certainty of someone who's done this before. Kiren runs. His wet shoes slip on the sidewalk. His belly throws off his balance. He cuts through an alley, stumbles over trash bags, keeps moving. He can hear footsteps behind him. Steady, unhurried. They don't need to rush because he can't run fast enough anymore. He emerges near the river. The same river, different stretch of bank, but the same dark water rushing past. The footsteps stop. Kiren turns. The man in the grey suit stands at the alley's mouth, watching, not advancing, just waiting. "You can't run forever," the man says. His voice is flat, professional. "Mr. Calder wants to talk." "I don't," Kiren says, his voice shakes. "Then you make this harder than it needs to be." Kiren backs toward the water. The stones are slick under his feet. The current sounds hungry. He thinks about the clinic, the prescription, the pamphlet, the 2-week follow-up he won't make because Mek won't let him. He thinks about the pup, the heartbeat, the tiny fingers curled inside him. He thinks about how every door he's knocked on has closed. Every system he trusted failed. Every option collapsed for the same reason he can't name, but feels in his bones. The man in the grey suit takes a step forward. Kiren's foot slides backward. The river is right there. And every solution fails for the same reason no one wants to say out loud. Omegas like him don't matter enough to save. The idea comes to him at 3 in the morning, 6 days after the man in the grey suit cornered him by the river. It's a terrible idea, the kind that dissolves under any scrutiny, the kind that only makes sense when exhaustion has stripped away every better option. Kiren lies in his apartment, though calling it an apartment is generous. Studio, 400 square feet, a kitchen that's just a hot plate and a sink, a bathroom with a shower that runs cold more often than hot, windows that don't lock properly. The landlord stopped answering his calls 2 weeks ago. The eviction notice is taped to his door. 72 hours. He doesn't have $72, let alone what he owes. His phone buzzes, another unknown number. He stopped answering those days ago. The voicemails are always the same. Marek's people. Polite threats wrapped in professional language. Opportunities to reconsider. Invitations to have a conversation. Reminders that cooperation benefits everyone. He deletes the voicemail without listening. The baby kicks hard. Kiren rests his hand on the spot, feels the push back. I know, he whispers. I'm trying. But trying isn't enough anymore. He's already sold everything that had value. His mother's jewelry, his laptop, his winter coat. He's applied for assistance and been denied. He's reached out to every Omega advocacy group in 3 states and been waitlisted. He's begged for extensions, for grace periods, for mercy, and been met with bureaucracy and apologies and nothing that helps. The storm outside builds. Rain hammers the windows. Thunder shakes the walls. The lights flicker. Kiren sits up. His back aches. His ankles are swollen. He's wearing the same clothes he wore yesterday because laundry costs money and he's choosing food over clean shirts now. He thinks about the river, about how easy it would be to walk there, about how the water would be fast tonight, swollen from days of rain, about how no one would look for him, about how his absence would solve problems for everyone except the pup, and the pup doesn't have a say. The shame of the thought makes him nauseous. He's not suicidal, he's just out of options. And sometimes those two things look the same from the outside. He stands, paces, 3 steps one way, 3 steps back. His mind spirals through scenarios, each one worse than the last. He could go to the police, but Marek owns enough people in enough places that complaints disappear. He could leave the state, but he's broke and pregnant, and moving means losing access to the free clinic. He could try to bargain with Marek, but he knows how that ends: compliance, humiliation, and erasure anyway. The lights flicker again. Stay off this time. Darkness fills the apartment. The storm howls. Kiren stands in the middle of the room, hand on his belly, breathing hard. The river, he thinks again. Not to die, just to disappear. To slip away before Marek's people decide talking is over. To vanish into the night and the storm and the water, where at least the end would be his choice. It's a shameful plan. A reckless plan. A plan that erases him and the pup both, that solves nothing, that gives Marek exactly what he wants without the mess of making it happen himself. But it's the only plan Kiren has left. He grabs his jacket, ignores the voicemail notification buzzing his phone again, walks to the door, pauses. His reflection stares back at him from the dark window, gaunt face, hollowed eyes, a body carrying more weight than it should in every sense. I'm sorry, he says to the pup, to himself, to the life he thought he'd have. Then he opens the door and steps into the storm. The walk to the river is long. His shoes fill with water. His jacket does nothing against the rain. His belly makes every step harder. He passes closed storefronts and empty streets, and no one who would stop him even if they saw. The river appears through the trees, black water churning. The sound of it drowns out everything else. Kiren stands at the edge. His hand stays on his belly. The baby kicks again, oblivious. He thinks about his mother, about the cuff Marek broke, about the promises he made to be better, to survive, to protect what mattered. He thinks about how badly he's failed. The stones are slick, the current is fast. The night is loud with rain and wind, and the roar of water that doesn't care what it takes. Kiren closes his eyes. Steps forward. His foot catches, the stone shifts, gravity pulls. And the river opens its mouth to swallow him whole. The cold is absolute. It doesn't ease in, doesn't give him time to adjust. The water punches every breath from his lungs and replaces it with shock so complete his body forgets how to move. He's under, then above, then under again. The current spins him like something weightless and disposable. His arms thrash. His mouth opens in a scream that drowns before it makes sound. He tries to grab the surface. His fingers close on nothing. The river fills his nose, his throat, his chest. Pressure builds behind his eyes. His legs kick, but the water is stronger, faster, indifferent to effort. Something solid hits his shoulder. A rock maybe, a branch. Pain flares and vanishes under the bigger problem of not breathing. His body starts to shut down. His kicks weaken. His arms stop fighting. The cold seeps deeper, past skin, past muscle, into the core of him where the pup still moves, still tries, still doesn't understand that trying is over. He thinks this is it. Then his hand hits something that doesn't move. A log, a boulder, something anchored. His fingers close. His grip holds. His head breaks the surface. He gasps. Water pours from his mouth. He coughs, chokes, gasps again. His lungs burn with the effort of remembering how to work. The current pulls at his legs. His grip is weak. The thing he's holding is slick. He tries to pull himself closer, but his arms shake too hard. His belly presses against the stone. The baby kicks, frantic now, distressed by the chaos outside. "Hold on," he whispers, to the pup, to himself. "Just hold on." His fingers slip. He grabs again, holds. His breathing is ragged. His vision blurs. He can feel his strength draining with every second. The cold is winning. His body is giving up in pieces. First his legs, then his arms, then the will to keep fighting against odds that were always going to win. He tries to pull himself up. His arm gives out. He slips, catches himself, slips again. The pup kicks one more time, weaker now. "I'm sorry," Kiren says. The words disappear into the rain and the water and the night that doesn't care about apologies. His grip fails. The current takes him again. He goes under. His mouth fills. His lungs scream. He can't tell which way is up anymore. The world is just dark water and pressure, and the fading awareness that he tried and it wasn't enough. His body slams into something hard. Pain explodes across his ribs. He doesn't have air left to scream. He tumbles, rolls. The river drags him over stones and through rapids and past the point where struggling matters. He surfaces one more time, gasps, a breath, half a breath. The rain hits his face. The current spins him toward deeper water. He sees the bank, too far, unreachable, a place that exists for people with strength left. He's not those people anymore. His eyes close, his body goes limp. The cold wraps around him like a decision made without his input. The water pulls him down, deeper, quieter, into the dark space where fighting stops because there's nothing left to fight with. The last thing he feels is the baby, one more kick, small, desperate, fadding. Then nothing. Then a hand cutting through the black. Fingers close around his wrist. The grip is iron, unbreakable. It yanks him upward with force that feels like violence. His head breaks the surface. Air hits his face. He doesn't have the strength to gasp. His body is dead weight. The hand drags him anyway. He's being pulled, fast, relentless, toward the bank. His body scrapes over stones. His legs drag through mud. He coughs. Water spills from his mouth. He can't see, can't think, can't do anything but exist in the hands of whoever decided he was worth saving. He's dropped on solid ground, grass, mud. Something that isn't moving. He rolls onto his side, coughs until his chest tears. Brown water pours out. He gasps, chokes, gasps again. Someone is above him, breathing hard, soaked through, a shape in the dark and the rain. Kiren tries to focus. His vision swims. He sees a face, sharp jaw, dark eyes, wet hair plastered to a forehead, a man, tall, broad, staring down at him with an expression Kiren can't read. The man doesn't speak, just watches. His chest rises and falls with exertion. His clothes are ruined, his hands are scraped. Kiren's body shakes. The cold sinks deeper. His soaked shirt clings to his belly, and the curve he spent weeks hiding is impossible to miss now. The moonlight catches it, makes it undeniable. Shame floods him. He tries to cover himself. His hands won't cooperate. He looks up at the man and knows what comes next. Judgment, disgust, the decision to leave. But the man doesn't move, doesn't look away. Kiren's voice comes out broken, desperate. "Will you stay if I undress?" The question is wrong, too raw, too honest, but it's all he has left. The man's jaw tightens. He doesn't answer immediately, just stands there in the rain, deciding. And Kiren waits, shivering and soaked and half drowned, to see if the person who pulled him from the water will stay for the part that comes after. The coat lands on his shoulders before he can protest. Heavy, warm, smelling of cedar and rain and something else he can't identify. Kiren's hands shake as he pulls the fabric tighter around himself. His soaked shirt is plastered to his skin, transparent, revealing everything he's tried to hide. The man who pulled him from the river stands 3 feet away, his back turned, giving Kiren space to breathe. "I'll stay," the man says. His voice is low, steady, the kind of voice that doesn't make promises it can't keep. Kiren's teeth chatter. His whole body shakes with cold that goes bone deep. He fumbles with his shirt buttons, but his fingers won't work properly. The wet fabric clings. He can't get it off without standing, and he's not sure his legs will hold him. The man still doesn't turn. "There's a car, 2 minutes that way, can you walk?" Kiren tries to stand, his knees buckle. The man moves fast, catches his elbow, keeps him upright without making it feel like pity. His grip is firm, impersonal, the touch of someone who's done this before. "I've got you," the man says. Kiren wants to argue, wants to say he doesn't need help, but his body has already made that decision for him. He leans into the support and hates himself for it. They move slowly. The man matches his pace, doesn't rush him, doesn't ask questions, just guides him through the trees toward a black SUV parked on a service road Kiren didn't know existed. The passenger door opens, warm air spills out. The man helps him inside, still not looking at him directly, still giving him whatever dignity can be salvaged from this moment. The door closes. The man walks around to the driver's side, gets in, starts the engine. Heat floods the car. Kiren's shaking intensifies as his body tries to remember what warm feels like. The man reaches behind the seat, pulls out a blanket, hands it over without commentary. Kiren wraps it around himself, layering it over the coat, cocooning himself in warmth that feels unearned. "Hospital or safe house?" the man asks. Kiren stares at him. The question doesn't make sense. Neither option should exist. The man glances at him. Dark eyes, no judgment in them, just assessment. "You need medical attention, but hospitals ask questions. I have a place. Private, doctor I trust, your choice." Kiren's mind struggles to catch up. Why? Because you're pregnant and half drowned and someone's clearly hunting you. The bluntness of it shocks Kiren into silence. The man puts the car in drive but doesn't move yet. "I'm Darius Rook. I run logistics across the Northeast. I don't know you, don't know your story, but I know desperation when I see it, and I know when someone's being cornered by people who think they're untouchable." Kiren's breath catches. "You don't." "I don't need to know details right now. Right now you need to be warm and dry and checked by someone who won't report you. Everything else comes after. So, hospital or safe house?" Kiren's hands press against his belly. The baby hasn't moved since the river. The silence inside him is louder than the storm outside. "Safe house," he whispers. Darius nods once, pulls onto the road, drives with the kind of focus that leaves no room for conversation. Kiren watches the trees blur past. His mind races even as his body shuts down. He doesn't know this man, doesn't know what safe house means in this context, doesn't know if he just traded one trap for another. But the baby still hasn't moved. And that scares him more than any unknown Darius Rook might represent. The drive takes 20 minutes. They cross state lines. The roads get quieter. Darius turns onto a private drive that winds through dense woods. A house appears. Modern, glass and stone, lights on inside. Darius parks, gets out, opens Kiren's door, helps him stand. Kiren's legs are steadier now, but exhaustion drags at every muscle. Inside, the house is warm, clean, minimal furniture. Everything looks expensive in the way that doesn't advertise itself. A woman waits in the living room. Older, grey hair pulled back, medical bag at her feet. She takes one look at Kiren and her expression sharpens. "Get him upstairs," she says to Darius. "I need him horizontal and dry." Darius guides Kiren up the stairs, into a bedroom, sits him on the edge of the bed. The woman follows, sets her bag down, looks at Kiren with eyes that have seen too much to be shocked by anything. "I'm Dr. Landon. I'm going to examine you and the baby. That okay?" Kiren nods, can't manage words anymore. She works efficiently, takes his vitals, listens to his chest. Her hands are warm and professional. She doesn't flinch when she sees his belly, doesn't comment on the bruises or the weight loss or the signs of prolonged stress. She pulls out a portable ultrasound, the kind that costs more than Kiren's monthly rent used to. "How far along?" she asks. 26 weeks. She nods, applies gel to his stomach, moves the wand. The screen flickers to life. Kiren stops breathing. The baby's heartbeat fills the room, strong, steady, alive. His eyes burn. He presses his palm against his mouth to keep the sob in. Dr. Landon watches the screen, measures, frowns slightly, measures again. "Heart rate is good, movement is good. You're both dehydrated and you're running a stress response that's going to cause problems if it continues. But right now, you're both alive." The relief nearly breaks him. Dr. Landon cleans the gel off, packs her equipment, looks at him with something that might be kindness or might just be honesty. "You can't do that again," she says quietly. "Next time the river wins." Kiren nods, he knows. She stands, looks at Darius, who's been standing in the doorway the whole time. He stays horizontal for 24 hours minimum. Fluids, rest, I'll be back tomorrow to recheck. Darius nods, walks her out. Kiren sits on the bed in borrowed clothes that don't quite fit, wrapped in blankets that smell like fabric softener, in a house that belongs to a stranger who pulled him from the water for reasons that still don't make sense. The baby kicks, finally. Kiren's hand goes to the spot, presses. "We're okay," he whispers, "we're okay." But the question burning in his mind is simpler and more terrifying. For how long? 3 days pass without incident. Kiren wakes on the 4th morning to sunlight streaming through windows he didn't close and breakfast on a tray beside the bed. Scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice, tea, a prenatal vitamin in a small white cup. He eats slowly. His stomach has been unpredictable since the river. Some foods it accepts, others it rejects violently. The eggs stay down, the toast too. He drinks all the juice and half the tea. Darius appears in the doorway, clean-shaven, dressed in dark jeans and a fitted black shirt. He looks different in daylight, younger, less like the shadowed figure who dragged him from drowning, and more like someone who could pass for normal if you didn't look too closely at his eyes. "Doctor's coming at noon," Darius says. "You need anything before then?" Kiren shakes his head. They've had versions of this conversation for 3 days. Darius asks. Kiren declines. The routine has become almost comfortable. "Can I ask you something?" Kiren says. Darius nods. "Why?" Darius leans against the doorframe, considers the question. "You asked me to stay. Most people don't ask. They demand or manipulate or assume. You asked, like you thought the answer might be no, like you were ready for rejection." He pauses. "People who expect to be thrown away usually have been. Repeatedly, I don't do that." The answer is too simple, too plain. Kiren doesn't believe it. "What do you want from me?" "Right now, I want you healthy, you and the kid. Everything else is negotiable after that." "Everything else," Kiren repeats. The words taste like trap. Darius's expression doesn't change. "You're going to assume I'm like whoever hurt you. That's fine, makes sense. But I'm not interested in owning you or using you or whatever nightmare scenario you're building. You need protection. I can provide it. When you're ready to talk about who put you in that river, we'll talk. Until then, rest." He leaves before Kiren can respond. The day passes quietly. Dr. Landon arrives at noon, checks his vitals, checks the baby, nods with satisfaction. Blood pressure's improving. Keep doing what you're doing. What he's doing is nothing. Eating, sleeping, existing in a bubble where the outside world doesn't reach. It feels wrong, too easy, like the moment before everything collapses. That night Darius makes dinner, actual cooking, chicken, rice, vegetables that aren't from a can. He serves Kiren a plate and sits across from him at the dining table. "You cook," Kiren says. "I do a lot of things. Like save random pregnant omegas from rivers." That's a newer addition. The conversation is almost normal, almost comfortable. Kiren eats and watches Darius and tries to figure out what the catch is. The catch arrives 2 days later. Kiren is in the living room, reading a book Darius left on the coffee table when his phone buzzes. He's been ignoring it for days. Dead battery, no charger, but Darius charged it this morning and left it on the counter. Now it buzzes, again. Kiren picks it up, 37 missed calls, 15 voicemails, 22 text messages. All from numbers he doesn't recognize. He opens the texts. They're variations on the same theme. Mech wants to talk. Mech is reasonable. Mech just wants to help. Mech knows where he is. The last one makes his blood stop. He looks up. Darius is standing in the doorway, watching him. "How long have you known?" Kiren asks. "That someone's tracking you. Since day one. That's why I brought you here instead of a hospital. No records, no trace." "They know." "They think they know. They're guessing based on last known location and movement patterns. This house doesn't exist on paper. You're safe." Kiren stands, his legs shake. "You don't understand. Mech doesn't stop, he doesn't negotiate. I know who Marek Calder is," Darius interrupts. His voice is calm, but something dangerous moves behind his eyes. "I know what he is. I know what he does. And I know he's been looking for you because he can't afford for you to disappear with what you know." Kiren stares at him. "What?" "The shell company, the invoices, the money moving between New York and Connecticut. You flagged it because it was illegal. Mek threatened you because you were right. And now he needs you gone because you're the only witness who can connect him to fraud that crosses state lines and touches operations he doesn't want examined. The pieces slot into place. Mek wasn't angry because Kiren refused. He was scared. How do you know this? Kiren asks. Darius's jaw tightens. Because 6 months ago, Mek tried to move product through my ports without authorization. When I refused, he tried to undercut me. When that failed, he tried to buy me. When that failed, he tried to threaten me. He pauses. I don't respond well to threats. So this is revenge. This is justice. There's a difference. Kiren's phone buzzes again. Another text. This one has a photo attached. The front of this house, taken from the road, time-stamped 20 minutes ago. Kiren's hands go numb. He shows Darius the screen. Darius looks at the photo. His expression doesn't change, but something cold settles into his features. He pulls out his own phone, makes a call, speaks quietly, hangs up. They found the house, Kiren says. His voice is flat. You said I was safe. You are safe. The house being found doesn't change that. How can you? Because they're not coming in, Darius says, and we're not hiding. He walks to the window, looks out at the empty driveway, the woods beyond, the road where someone stood 20 minutes ago and took a photo meant to scare. Mek thinks this is a negotiation, Darius says. He thinks he can pressure me into handing you over. He's wrong. What are you going to do? Darius turns, looks at Kiren with eyes that have gone completely flat. What I should have done 6 months ago when he first tested me. The phone buzzes again, not Kiren's, Darius's. He looks at the screen, his mouth tightens. What? Kiren asks. Darius doesn't answer, just shows him the message. It's from a blocked number, 4 words, we have what you want. Below it a photo, Kiren's old apartment, the door open, someone inside searching. There's nothing there, Kiren says, I don't have anything. They're not looking for things, Darius says quietly. They're establishing that they can reach you anywhere, that no place is safe, that eventually you'll have to choose between running forever and cooperating. Kiren sits down, his legs won't hold him anymore. Then I've already lost. No, Darius says, the word is hard, certain you haven't. How can you? Because Mek made one mistake, he went after you, and in doing that he went after something I decided to protect. That makes this personal, and when things are personal I don't lose. The confidence should be reassuring. Instead it terrifies Kiren because confidence like that comes from experience, from doing things most people wouldn't do, from being willing to go further than anyone expects. What happens now? Kiren asks. Darius looks at him, really looks at him, seeing not just the pregnant Omega who asked him to stay but something more, a choice, a line being drawn. Now, Darius says, we show him what happens when he hunts the wrong person. The phone buzzes one more time, both phones, simultaneously. They look at the screens. Same message, same blocked number. Clock starts now, 48 hours, then we come in. The documents arrive at dawn. Kiren wakes to find Darius at the dining table, surrounded by papers. Laptop open, phone pressed to his ear. He's speaking quietly but there's steel in his voice. He ends the call when he sees Kiren. Coffee's ready, Darius says. Decaf. Kiren pours a cup, sits across from him, looks at the papers spread across the table. Bank statements, corporate filings, emails, photos of men in suits shaking hands outside buildings he recognizes from Manhattan. What is this? Kiren asks. Everything Mek doesn't want anyone to see. Darius taps a stack of documents. The shell company you flagged. It's one of 7, all moving money through ports in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, all tied to real estate deals that violate zoning laws, all connected to city officials who approved permits they shouldn't have. Kiren stares at the papers. How did you? I've been building this case for 6 months. I just needed one person willing to testify about the invoices, someone with nothing to gain and everything to lose who still said no when Mek told them to look the other way. He looks at Kiren. You were that person. I didn't testify, I ran. You said no, that's the part that matters. Everyone else folded. You didn't, that's why he's hunting you. Not because you know too much, because you can't be bought. The weight of it settles over Kiren. So this was never about protecting me, it was about using me. Darius leans back, doesn't deny it. It started that way. You were leverage, a witness I could protect in exchange for testimony that would bury Mek. That's what I thought when I pulled you out of the river. He pauses. Then you asked me to stay, and everything changed. Why? Because you didn't demand, didn't assume. You asked like someone who expected to be abandoned. Like rejection was already written into the script and you were just confirming what you already knew. His jaw tightens. I've been used my whole life. I know what it looks like, what it feels like. I don't do that to other people. Kiren wants to believe him, wants to trust that this shift from leverage to protection is real, but trust is a luxury he can't afford. What's the plan? He asks. Darius slides a folder across the table. We leak half of this to the press today. Wall Street Journal, New York Times, local stations. Enough to start questions, but not enough to show our full hand. Mech's people will scramble, try to cover, try to discredit the sources. While they're doing that, we deliver the rest to the FBI. They won't believe it. Mech has connections. He had connections, past tense. Some of those connections are in these files. They'll throw him to save themselves. That's how power works when the walls close in. Kiren looks at the documents. Months of work, evidence gathered from sources he can't imagine. All focused on destroying one man who thought himself untouchable. What do you need from me? Kiren asks. Right now, nothing. You stay here, stay safe. Let me handle the exposure. When the FBI comes, and they will, you give a statement, on record, about the invoices, the threats, everything. And if it doesn't work? Darius's expression goes cold. Then we move to options that aren't legal. The honesty is more frightening than a lie would be. Kiren's phone buzzes. He doesn't want to look, but he does anyway. Another message, another photo. This one is of Dr. Landon's car outside a clinic in Boston, time-stamped 1 hour ago. Kiren shows Darius. They're escalating. Darius takes the phone, reads the message. His face doesn't change, but his grip on the device tightens until his knuckles go white. He makes a call, speaks in clipped sentences, hangs up. Dr. Landon is being relocated. She'll be secure within the hour. How many people are you protecting because of me? As many as it takes. The simplicity of the answer doesn't match the complexity of the situation. Kiren stands, paces. His belly feels heavier today. The baby has been active all morning, kicking and rolling like something restless and impatient. How long until they come here? Kiren asks. They won't. You can't know that. I can, because as of 20 minutes ago, Mech's primary accounts were frozen. His shell companies are under audit. 3 of his key associates just received subpoenas, and the leak to the press goes live in. Darius checks his watch, 8 minutes. Kiren stares at him. You already started. I started the moment you showed me that first photo. I just didn't tell you because you needed to rest. I needed to know. You needed to be safe. There's a difference. The argument dies on Kiren's lips because the laptop screen changes. A news alert. Breaking. Federal investigation launched into real estate fraud spanning 3 states. Darius clicks the link. The article loads. Names appear. Marek Calder, his associates, the shell companies, allegations of fraud, bribery, money laundering, the evidence described in enough detail to make denial impossible. Kiren reads, his hands shake. This is real. This is happening. The phone buzzes again, not a photo this time, a message, 3 words, you're dead both. Darius reads it, deletes it, blocks the number. Empty threats, he says. You don't know that. I do, because Marek is too busy trying to save himself to come after you now, and by the time he realizes he can't, the legal system will have him. Kiren wants to believe it, wants to feel safe, but safety has been a lie for so long he doesn't know how to recognize the real thing. What happens next? He asks. We wait. The FBI will want to interview you within 48 hours. Until then, you stay here, you rest, you let this play out. And if something goes wrong? Darius looks at him with eyes that have seen too much and survived anyway. Then I fix it. That's what I do. The confidence is absolute, unshakable, the kind that comes from never having failed when it mattered. Kiren hopes it's justified. Because the baby is due in 14 weeks, and the world is still too dangerous to bring a child into. The FBI agent's name is Morrison. She sits across from Kiren in a conference room that smells like old coffee and new carpet, recording device on the table between them, legal pad covered in notes, eyes that miss nothing. Start from the beginning, she says. Kiren does. He tells her about the invoice, the shell company, the numbers that didn't match, the moment he flagged it and the moment everything changed. He tells her about Meg, the threats, the gala, the river. He tells her everything except Darius's role in the aftermath because some protections need to remain invisible. Morrison listens, asks questions, takes notes, shows him documents to verify, financial records, emails, photos of people he recognizes from the office. "You understand what testifying means?" she asks. "Yes." "You'll be subpoenaed, you'll appear in court. Defense attorneys will question you, try to discredit you, they'll bring up everything, your finances, your past, your pregnancy, they'll try to make you look unstable." "I know. And you're still willing." Kiren looks at her, thinks about the river, the cold, the moment he thought he'd die, the moment Darius pulled him out, the moment he decided that surviving meant something more than just breathing. "I'm willing," he says. Morrison nods, closes her notebook. "We'll be in touch, don't leave the state. Don't contact anyone connected to the case. Don't post on social media. Understand?" "Yes." She stands, pauses at the door, looks back at him. "For what it's worth, you did the right thing. Most people wouldn't have." The words should feel like validation. Instead, they feel like acknowledgement that doing the right thing is rare enough to be remarkable, that the world has adjusted its expectations downward so far that basic honesty qualifies as heroism. Kiren leaves the federal building. Darius is waiting in the car outside, doesn't ask questions, just drives. They're halfway back to the house when Kiren's phone rings. Unknown number. He doesn't answer. It rings again and again. "Answer it," Darius says. Kiren does, puts it on speaker. The voice on the other end is unfamiliar. Male, professional. "Mr. Hale, this is Attorney Benjamin Cross. I represent Marek Calder. My client would like to offer a settlement in exchange for your silence regarding certain allegations." Kiren's hands tighten on the phone. "No. You haven't heard the terms." "I don't need to." "Mr. Hale, my client is prepared to offer substantial compensation, enough to secure your future, your child's future. All we ask is that you decline to testify and sign a non-disclosure agreement." The answer is no. "Perhaps you should consider." Darius takes the phone, his voice is ice. "This is Darius Rook. You tell Marek that Kiren Hale is under my protection. Any further contact will be considered harassment and handled accordingly. Do you understand?" Silence on the other end. Then, "Mr. Rook, my client doesn't respond well to." "Your client is going to prison. The only question is for how long. Every call you make to this number, every threat you transmit, every attempt to intimidate a federal witness adds years to that sentence. Are we clear?" The line goes dead. Darius hands the phone back. They're panicking, that's good. Panicked people make mistakes. Kiren stares at the phone. What if they don't stop? They will, because the alternative is worse. They reach the house. Inside, everything looks the same. Safe, quiet, normal in a way that feels increasingly fragile. Kiren goes upstairs, lies down, the baby kicks, strong now, insistent, reminding him that time is running out, that birth is coming whether the world is ready or not. He closes his eyes, tries to rest, can't. An hour later, Darius knocks. "You awake?" "Yes." Darius enters, sits on the edge of the bed. He looks tired, older somehow, like the weight of protecting someone is finally showing. "I need to tell you something," Darius says. Kiren sits up. "What?" "Marek made bail 2 hours ago." The words hit like cold water. "What?" His lawyers argued he wasn't a flight risk. Judge agreed, he's out. Ankle monitor, travel restrictions, but he's out. Kiren's chest tightens, so he can. He can't do anything. Legally, he's restricted. Practically, he's being watched. FBI, my people. He moves wrong and he goes back in. But he's out. For now. Kiren stands, paces. The room feels smaller. "You said I'd be safe." "You are safe." "How, if he's out, if he can move, if he can?" Kiren, Darius stands, catches his shoulders, forces eye contact. "Listen to me. Marek being out doesn't change anything. He can't reach you, he can't hurt you. All it means is the trial happens faster because his lawyers want to get ahead of the press. That's good for us." "It doesn't feel good." "I know, but feelings aren't facts. The facts are, Marek is under federal investigation, his assets are frozen, his associates are turning on him, his reputation is destroyed. He's a drowning man grabbing at anything to stay afloat. You are not that thing." Kiren wants to believe it, wants to feel the certainty Darius projects, but fear has lived in him too long to be dismissed by logic. What if something happens? Kiren asks quietly. What if he finds a way? Darius's grip tightens, not painful, grounding. Then I stop him, permanently, no matter what it takes. The promise is too big, too absolute, the kind that requires sacrifices Kiren doesn't want to imagine. I don't want you to. I know, but this isn't negotiable. You asked me to stay, I stayed. That means I see this through, all the way, no matter where it goes. Kiren looks at him, sees the determination, the steel. The willingness to cross lines that most people won't even approach. What did I ask you to become? Kiren whispers. Darius's expression softens, just slightly. Nothing I wasn't already. The baby kicks hard. Kiren's hand goes to the spot. Darius notices. His eyes flick to Kiren's belly. Something changes in his face. Not quite softness, more-like recognition. How long? Darius asks. 14 weeks, give or take. You scared? Terrified. Darius nods, releases Kiren's shoulders, steps back. We'll make sure you're ready, both of you. The we shouldn't mean as much as it does. But it does. The contractions start at 4 in the morning, 12 weeks later. Kiren wakes to pain that steals his breath. He lies still, counting, timing, trying to remember everything Dr. Landon taught him about labor. The contractions are 10 minutes apart, then 8, then 6. He gets up, walks to Darius's room, knocks. Darius opens the door immediately, already dressed, like he's been waiting. It's time, Kiren says. Darius nods, grabs his keys, calls Dr. Landon, guides Kiren to the car. The drive to the private clinic in Maryland takes 40 minutes. Kiren breathes through contractions that come faster now, 3 minutes apart, then 2. The clinic is small, discreet. Dr. Landon meets them at the door. Inside, everything is ready. Clean white room, medical equipment, a bed that looks more comfortable than hospital standard. Labor progresses, hours blur together. Pain builds and crests and builds again. Kiren grips the bedrail, breathes when told to breathe, pushes when told to push. Darius stays beside him the entire time, doesn't leave, doesn't look away, holds his hand when the pain gets too big for breathing to manage. You're doing fine, Dr. Landon says, almost there. Kiren can't speak, can't think, can only exist in the space between contractions and ride the wave when it comes. Then the pressure changes, shifts, something gives. One more push, Dr. Landon says. Kiren pushes, everything in him focuses on this single moment, this single task. A cry fills the room, small, loud, alive. Dr. Landon lifts the baby, a boy, tiny and red-faced and perfect. She cleans him quickly, checks him, wraps him in a soft blanket. He's healthy, she says, places him on Kiren's chest. Kiren's arms close around his son. The weight is real, solid, undeniable. He looks down at the small face, the closed eyes, the fingers curled tight. Hey, Kiren whispers, I'm your dad. The baby's eyes open, just for a moment, then close again. Kiren looks up at Darius. Darius is staring at the baby with an expression Kiren has never seen before, something raw, unguarded, his eyes are wet. You want to hold him? Kiren asks. Darius hesitates, then nods. Kiren transfers the baby carefully. Darius takes him like he's holding something that might break. His large hands cradle the small body with unexpected gentleness. He looks like you, Darius says quietly. Kiren watches them, the alpha who pulled him from the river and the child who survived despite everything. 2 people who shouldn't exist in his life but do. Thank you, Kiren says. The words are inadequate, too small for what they need to carry, for everything. Darius looks at him. You don't have to thank me. I do. You asked me to stay, I stayed, that's all. That's not all, that's everything. Darius doesn't argue, just looks back at the baby. What's his name? Kiren has been thinking about this for weeks. Considered names that meant strength, or survival, or hope. Rejected all of them because they felt like wishes instead of certainty. Elijah, he says, Elijah Hale. Elijah, Darius repeats, tests the name, nods, it fits. Dr. Landon finishes her work, checks Kiren one more time, declares everything stable. You should rest, both of you. Kiren nods but doesn't sleep, just watches Darius hold Elijah, watches his son breathe, watches the two of them exist in the same space, and tries to understand how he got here. 3 months ago he was drowning, now he's a father, protected by someone who owes him nothing but gave him everything. The trial happened 2 weeks ago. Mek was convicted, 73 counts, federal prison, minimum 20 years, his empire collapsed, his associates scattered, his name became a warning. The world moved on. Kiren moved forward. What happens now? Kiren asks. Darius looks at him. Whatever you want. That's not an answer. It's the only answer that matters. You're not running anymore. You're not hiding. You get to decide what comes next. Kiren considers this. The freedom is overwhelming, terrifying, real. I want Elijah to grow up safe, he says. I want him to know that people can be trusted, that asking for help isn't weakness, that staying is possible. Then that's what we build, Darius says. We? Darius meets his eyes. If you want, no pressure, no expectations, just the option. Kiren looks at him, at Elijah, at the life he didn't plan but somehow found anyway. I want that, he says. Darius nods, smiles slightly. The expression transforms his face, makes him look younger, less guarded. Elijah makes a small sound, not quite a cry, just a noise that says he exists and expects the world to notice. Kiren takes him back, holds him close, breathes in the smell of him, new skin, clean blanket, the scent of someone who hasn't learned fear yet. You're going to be okay, Kiren whispers to his son. We both are. He believes it this time. Not because the world is safe, not because danger is gone, but because he's not alone anymore, because someone stayed when he asked, because protection is real when it's given without conditions. Darius sits beside the bed, watches them both, doesn't make promises about forever, doesn't need to. His presence is the promise. Outside, the sun rises. Light spills through the windows, touches the walls, warms the room. Kiren closes his eyes, holds his son, feels the weight of safety settle around him like something he might actually get to keep. Most people will never know what was saved in that river, will never understand what it cost or what it meant. And that's exactly why it worked. Thank you for watching this story unfold. If it moved you, inspired you, or made you think, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story that might change how you see the world. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters, your story matters. And sometimes, sharing it helps someone else find the courage to ask someone to stay. See you in the next one.